You mentioned there about the World Cup. What was that like? I'm so curious. I know this is a pretty standard football chat, but I'm just so interested to know about going to a World Cup.
Oh, mate, honestly.
Especially with the teams you were going around with.
Yeah, like back then there were just so many big
household names. You know, like your mum and your grandma could name the starting 11.
Yeah, it was
and I don't
mental.
think that you could, as good as the players are now, I don't think that, everyone could name them.
Yeah.
If you go through that team, with like David James in goal, Gary Neville, Rio Ferdinand, John Terry, Ashley Cole, David Beckham, Frank Lampard, Steven Gerrard, Joe Cole, Rooney, Owen. Do you know what I mean? Like that team there, they're all like household names. Like everyone knows who they are. And it was crazy being around that kind of dressing room and that environment. And obviously that, when all the kind of, it was all like the wives and girlfriends and stuff and all in the same hotel, and it was carnage.
Yeah, I was gonna...
but also amazing to be a part of just that kind of setup. It was amazing.
And was the World Cup, was that Fabio?
The first one, 2006 was, we had Sven.
It was
Sven Goran Eriksson, and then 2010 I played, which was in South Africa, which was Fabio Capello.
Yeah.
But I mean, being part of it, like it's so big. You don't realise until you're in it, like you're in a bubble, but every training session is just massive. Everywhere you go, just when you sample like the crowds and the amount of people, it's like it's a festival, right? But it's a festival of football and everyone's there.
The biggest sporting event in the world, isn't it? I can just imagine like the level of like pressures and eyes that you have on that type of thing. With Fabio, what was he like as a manager? Because who was it Prod that didn't that said he didn't like him or didn't get along with him?
Ben Foster.
Yeah, Ben Foster said that he really struggled to get along with
Fabio Capello.
He's very blunt or something.
Yeah, mate. I mean, I've never seen him like it. Yeah, I mean, he was a disciplinarian. But let's be honest, like we had this kind of thing that we were doing with England where we'd have a manager and then we'd go for the exact opposite when it didn't work. So Sven was so chilled, most relaxed person you'll ever meet in your life. I loved him. He gave me my England debut, but like really relaxed. He just, do what you want to do, that whatever makes you happy to play on the weekend. But with Capello, it's so different, mate. The rules came in, we lost ketchup, butter, everything went out. And then it was very much like if you were a second late for a meeting, if you were on your phone when you shouldn't be, it was like treating you like kids.
Like fines. Are these fines that are coming?
Well, yeah, no, he just basically like, I always remember Glenn Johnson came down once in one of the first meetings and he had flip-flops on. And as he came down, he just pointed at his flip-flops and then dismissed him like that. With a hand like that. I didn't even look at him.
Yeah.
I remember Frank got told about his phone. I remember Emil Heskey was on his phone once, and he, when you're in a hotel and all the stuff that goes on the food, like you lift off the trays and stuff, right? Yeah. So he just got one of the trays, and Em's on his phone like this, and he's just banged them both together like in his ear, and I thought,
mate, that would fill me with rage.
He's doing this to like. It's season. These people have kids. You know what I mean? They're not kids.
Yeah.
Mad. But like, he was very much about the rules, and that was his way. But I just had a tremendous amount of respect for him just because of what he'd done in the game. AC Milan, Real Madrid. Like, what a manager. But it didn't really work out.
It's pretty incredible. Even you hear about it now, like for example, someone like Klopp that tends to be very like people orientated on all that, and then you switch to different managers. Like it's pretty incredible that there can be such different styles of managing, and yet both kind of be successful in their own way. But I know certainly as a player, which one you'd prefer to play for, right?
But I guess it depends on that, the player and the group of players, like how they're going to react to it. Like I bet there are some teams out there that works for him, obviously, but with England it didn't.
Yeah.
But what were the boys? So the boys obviously didn't react too well to him. Was that the case?
It didn't work. Let's be honest. I think probably Sven definitely had a better record with England.
Yeah.
But then people look at that generation of footballers, called it, the golden generation. And we didn't win anything.
Yeah.
Having said that, the teams were different.
Mate.
Like we were playing against Spain, right? With Iniesta, Xavi, Busquets, David Villa, Torres. The team was a joke,
levels
right?
were fucking
And then we're
crazy.
playing against Brazil, Rivaldo, Ronaldo, Ronaldinho.
The 3 R's.
Like this is. I mean, it was France had Henry. That team in front. That team that came through there. We just playing against. We were below that level.
It's like prime national team shit.
Prime.
Do you think that does it boil down to that? You reckon? Because obviously we didn't have that success when everyone does call it that, the golden era. And yeah, we won nothing. And you think that is what it really boils down to?
No, I think there's an element
gotta be a
of
bit-
both. I think
Yeah.
we maybe just underperformed as well. But that sort of the France, it was France, was it 98 where Ronaldinho scored the over Seaman's head? And we still got to a semi-final, got beaten by that Brazil team. The Portugal thing was a bit different when in 2006 when I played. Rooney got sent off.
Yeah, that was
with Cristiano. That issue happened. If that hadn't have happened, would we have gone further?
That one.
But yeah, frustrating. Lots of different reasons why it didn't happen. But
because I think one thing that I saw, or that I think maybe like 2 years ago or something, it was like a really big talking point was like this toxic environment within the team and all this. Now, obviously, you'll be able to tell me more, but I have a theory about this, right? And the theory is that there might have been a bit of toxic stuff between people, but it's nowhere near as big as it's been made out to be. And the reason for that is they just felt like they needed to blame something. And so they've just said, oh, it was because everyone was really passionate about their club football. Now, you'll be able to tell me whether it genuinely was like a serious thing, or do you think the media sort of blew it out of proportion more than it really was?
I do think that I look at the side now and they look like they are definitely more harmonious, and it's definitely more feels like a club atmosphere.
Yeah.
It feels like they all get on. I gotta be honest, that is not the case when we played.
Really?
And I don't think it held us back because everyone was professional enough to, when we got on the pitch, to want the same goal. But I do think at times it was very much. I mean, the Premier League was as good as it's ever been. Then, like the rivalries were the best.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to see like Keane and Vieira in the tunnel? Like people want to see that, right? And those games were so explosive. But how do you play in games like that and then come together and go? That was
Happy
great.
days,
Well
yeah.
played Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was hatred,
Yeah.
right? It made the Premier League better, but it made the national team slightly worse.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah. Have you seen the trend recently called Barclays Men? Oh, well,
Yes.
there we go. It's a note
Yes.
here. Who's the ultimate? Have you seen what this is?
I'm all over it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm all over it.
Give us a list of players that you think epitomise this era of
I
football.
see. I'm like, for me, like this is slightly like my era of proper. Like I remember when the Premier League started, and I honestly loved it. Like that was my era, I would say, like late 90s. But then obviously I started playing in this Barclays era, so I mean you could class me as a Barclays.
Absolutely. Yeah, you'd get yourself in the starting 11.
I
off the
think
bat
I'd
for
be in
sure.
there.
Can we get Craig Bellamy as one of these?
Craig Bellamy, I mean JJ
Craig
Okocha,
Bellamy.
Yeah.
Kevin Davis, as I would class as a Barclays. Solomon Kalou. I'm talking players like random players
boy.
that are like
From that era.
from that era. I think. I like the more rogue, the better. So if you can,
niche as fuck.
if you can give me a niche player,
No, if I got one,
I am all over it. I like
Zoltan Gira.
Zoltan Gira, Fulham, like West Brom. That's the kind of level I'm talking about. Zoltan Gira.
Proper
Trying to think
player
of some
then,
more.
man. I'm trying to think of somebody. I can't go too niche,
Rocket Santa Cruz, but he hasn't got that kind of like
Who?
Kind Cruz, but he didn't have that
Rocket
kind of like.
Santa
He was
Cruz,
unbelievable. He
Blackburn.
didn't have that kind of like Barclaysman
quite,
edge to him, did he?
Yeah, which was when?
Yeah, when was the end of the Barclays era?
When the Barclays started?
I'm going to say 2001 to like 2011.
We had an outside shout here from Amir Zaki.
Oh yeah.
Not a bad shout.
Nice, yes, that's nice. There was a few at Wigan as well, people like some of those Wigan boys.
Oh yeah.
I'm thinking of Hugo Rodiega, that kind of.
Now you're in the deep trenches, man.
You've gone way beyond our knowledge, mate.
Yeah, sorry,
Taking
no,
me to a
I
place
can
I didn't
go
exist.
deep in.